Limuru in Kiambu County is cold. So cold that to survive here at certain times of the year, you need to wear layers and layers of clothing. Now this cold is what makes Limuru conducive for tea farming. But because of climate change, these temperatures are starting to go so much lower that the tea is suffering frost. Now this week, Earthwise is in Kiambu County documenting this impact of climate change. At least 74% of the land area in Kiambu is under various agricultural activities, contributing 17% of the population's income. Tea, coffee, horticulture and dairy farming are some of the biggest income earners in this county. Some of the climate risks that Kiambu faces are droughts, floods, extreme temperatures and soil erosion. These risks have an impact on the agricultural activities, thereby risking the food and income security of the people.
These pears, this was a sort of cash crop in this area. That is when we were young. We were brought up by our fathers selling this. They used to grow and even grow. They used to produce a lot, even breaking the branches because of the many fruits that it used to produce. But these days you get one just to eat, but not to sell.
Kwa hivyo hata production per tree imeshuka sana.
Hakuna hata miaka 5 hata last year hatukukula. We could not even get one to eat. Yes.
Miaka 5 hakuna kitu umevuna.
No. For the last 5 years. Nah.
Pears inahitaji weather.
Even there are some farmers now who are uprooting it.
Oh.
But with me, I'm just keeping hope. Maybe the climate will change. That's why you can see I have not uprooted, but many farmers have uprooted them now.
Inahitaji weather ina gani ndio iweze kugrow?
Inataka a lot of rain, and especially in April, May. So that when it comes to flowering in September, October, already it has that moisture in the ground.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's not just the people who are suffering the impacts of extreme weather. Animals too are feeling it, and researchers warn that if the temperature extremes continue, then it may not be possible to keep some breeds of dairy cows here, especially in the areas around Githunguri.
We used to have a lot of fodder for the animals, but today we are struggling to raise these animals up because there is no fodder. It's only this year that we can see there is a great change because of the rains that has come. And today we are struggling so much because we used to buy a bale of hay at 400, something that we used to buy at 120. It has gone to 400 shillings. We used to get milk. A cow could produce to 20 liters a day, but today we are getting 10 liters or even less because of the way we are not feeding them properly. And there used to be a lot of rains, and there were very many trees that were actually around us. And we think that after the cutting of these trees, because the shrubs were big, but now today they are just being subdivided because of the population growth in this area. And now what we are having is that there are very small portions of land, and if you have a cow, you are not able to get these feeds for it.
We never used to have this type of frost that we are having in some areas. But more importantly is the intensity which we come, and sometimes it comes, what I've just noticed is a change of this coldness. When I was young, we were very sure it will start in May and end up in a bit of July. But sometimes it's late, coming up all the way, start of maybe June, ending in August. But when it comes, it's extremely cold. When I was young, I never saw birds, dead birds because of cold. But today, you go to a particular place, when it's quite intense, you see some small birds that, you know, they are dead.
Good morning. Tujipigie makofi kwa kuja. Hata kama kuna baridi. Asanteni sana.
When we arrived in Kiambu, we found an unusual meeting underway.
You have experience again in terms of interacting with the communities and how they are being affected by the climate change.
Various representatives from around the county had been gathered here at the county headquarters to talk about the county's biggest threat, climate change.
You can ask Mwananchi, how are they affected by the climate change and what have they seen as a trend in terms of climate change? What do they want us to do? What can it be done? What are they lacking? What are the challenges when they are coming to address the climate change and all those issues?
So we pulled out the CEC for Environment and Natural Resources from that meeting to tell us a little bit about what's going on about climate change in this county and how that meeting will help inform the county's policies going forward. Bonakuria, thank you very much for making time to speak to us today.
Thank you.
First, tell me a little bit about this meeting. What was going on in that meeting and why the need to talk to the ward representatives?
We have received funding from National Treasury that's coming from the World Bank, where we are trying to address, or is supposed to address, locally led actions that are addressing climate-related impacts. It's called FLOCA, that is financing locally led climate actions, where you are supposed to get views from the people, you get how they are affected by the climate and what actions can be taken so that they can be able to address those those issues, impact that are being brought about by the climate change.
So what is the situation now? How has this county been impacted by climate change?
If you go to the upper zone, it's quite cold. And currently we're having what people are saying that the coldness today is not as it was in the past.
Is it colder now?
It is very cold. It's colder now. And that actually affects the farming systems. It affects the lifestyle of those people.
The areas of Limuru.
The area of Limuru, Dari, and Gatudu North, both Gatudu North and Gatudu South. It's becoming more colder than it was in the past.
Limuru, we know, is an area that grows a lot of tea. Have you seen any impacts of these extremely cold temperatures on the tea production in the county?
Honestly, I may not have had that interaction with the tea farmers, but you could hear them complain, and that of course it could have affected their yield and all that. But the young crops, we have a lot of frost.
In that meeting, you stressed the need for locally led adaptation in line with the World Bank Fund. What are some of these local solutions you're looking to see the people implement?
First of all is, we have to believe the people have stayed with their nature. Okay, they know nature more than us. Okay, they have seen and observed. They know which type of crop can grow, the type of crop, traditional crops. So we are encouraging the indigenous crops. We have managus, we have kienyeji boga, all those. We're telling them. We are encouraging them to give us what is it that you have survived. This is not the first time they are surviving through such extremes. They know, and therefore when they come up with those, they are fruits, the golden berries. I see them being hooked here in my village. They used to be wild berries. Now they are being cultivated. The strawberries, the wild strawberries, all of them, they are being cultivated and all those. So we are encouraging those type of activity. And more importantly also, we are also trying to find out whether can we synchronize their planting with what they know in their head, the traditional knowledge. Okay? If you know by January you are supposed to plant this type of crops, can you use that knowledge Okay, together now we infuse with agriculture.
As a policymaker yourself, what are some of the policy gaps that you have seen that require addressing?
Initially, we never had county climate change action plans. We never had climate policies and laws. I'm so happy and proud to say that Kiambu, we have developed climate change policy.
And you have an act of 2021.
We have an act that now is going on. So we had noticed that the gap that is there is we lack harmonization. You know, those policies are not harmonized. We have an agriculture, we have forest, we have national forest led by, we have WRA, all those, they conflicts, and that is an issue.
How could you let this happen? Did you give him the key to the office? Huh?
We trusted him. We're all shocked, Misha.
Misha? That lying traitor Sichov took my laptop out of the mill. All the financial records are there. We have to get it back.
Come on, let's get him.
They recommended you because they told me that you would understand the situation.
Understand what?
Please do it.
I can't do it. I must report this to the police.
Calling you to be part and parcel of the fastest growing satellite town in this city. We are developing and building a beautiful Achievers Gate. This is a chance that you cannot afford to miss. Call this number 0790 300 300.
Unaona hii ndio maua ya export.
Hii hapa chini?
Ya hii. Hakuna kitu tumeuza hata. And that's why unaona hata nimepanda mahindi angali nione kitu ya kuvuna.
Hii ni maua gani?
Inaitwa Arabicum. Ni ya export. We normally plant in June, start harvesting from November, and because it is continuous planting, the last planting season is, end of the planting season ends in January. So end of harvesting season ends in June. Yes, unaona. Lakini wakati huu hatukuvuna hata nothing.
We have been planting our plums trees and the pears fruits, but they have not been doing well. But it has been affected us from the last 5 years, whereby we could not be able to get the product or to get the yield because of the climate that have been changing.
We need experts to come and think about it, because if I'm experiencing this, and I expect all the farmers around are experiencing the same, and maybe in the whole of the country they're experiencing the same, where will us be in 30-40 years to come? Maybe we'll be looking for food, or I don't know where we will be, because if the climate doesn't change, if there is no intervention at this time around, people will not get even food to sustain them. No, not even for selling, but to sustain them, their homesteads. So it is important for the experts, those who know what can be done, to do it. We are trying, because you can see in my farm, I have tried to have water pans. I have 4 water pans around, just to harvest rainwater. If people around are encouraged or assisted by the government or the county government or the national government to start harvesting rain, the little rain that we are getting, maybe they will be getting kitchen garden, they will be irrigating the kitchen garden, and maybe even it will, a farmer will harvest more just to sell for those who doesn't have, those who don't have land.
Kenya is among countries that are most vulnerable to climate change, but as it presents challenges, it also presents opportunities for adaptation. How is this working out in Kiambu County? Let's learn about that on Climate Hackers. Waste management is a very big environmental concern because not only does it leave the environment very smelly, but it also contributes to carbon footprints. But there are people who are bringing solutions that makes use of this waste, removing them from the environment and turning them into something that is useful both for their pockets and for the environment and for the farmers. So we're in Ruiru in Kiambu County to talk to a man who has founded a company that makes use of this waste. Hi, Richard.
Very fine.
Thank you for talking to us today. Tell us a little bit about what you do here.
Thank you so much and welcome to Organic Fuels. We are basically the people who make organic fertilizer from food waste. And as you can see, this is the food waste. This is our raw material for the fertilizer.
What kind of organic waste?
We collect our food waste, basically from bananas, tomatoes, fruits and all that. And then we take them through a controlled process of composting that ensures we remove the smell. And from that, we compost it for a period of 3 months to get a fine compost like this. And then from that, we are able to turn it from to what you see here to a finer compost.
So this is where the waste comes?
Yes.
Why the sticks? Why the stones?
The sticks and the stones are basically for purposes of aeration purposes. When doing the composting, they ensure the microbes are able to break down the materials. We do the first sorting here. This is the first sieving.
Of the fertilizer?
The fertilizer.
So this is the fertilizer in its raw form?
Yeah, in the raw form.
Okay.
So you can see that there's you can't
no smell.
No smell.
None at all.
Yeah, you can see basically the materials out of reach.
And look at the composition.
Yes.
To look at the composition.
Yes.
There's the leaves.
Yes.
There's stone.
Yeah.
And then there's pieces of stick.
Yes.
And a little bit of soil.
Basically the humus now. And our interest is that humus because that is what will go to the final compost. So once that is done, that is collected, we take it up there for purposes of granulation, where we mix it with other materials to form the final granular fertilizer.
What has been your personal experience with climate change that has inspired you to find a solution?
Oh, well, one of the things is, I think if you walk to any of these markets, basically, you find that the smell coming out of this market, go to Gilroy, go to Kiambu, go to even Marikiti and all that, and Kangemi, all these markets, you get a lot of foul smell coming from that. And basically this foul smell, one puts away the customers, and again it puts the traders at risk of diseases and all this. Now that itself tells you there is a big problem with how the waste is managed. This waste which went to the dump site contributed a lot of methane gases at the dump site, would have been used in a better way to help produce the food and minimize the amount of chemical fertilizer produced. Because again, the process of producing chemical fertilizer is another one which produces a lot of gases for which basically destroy the ozone layer. So basically, how would we minimize that, minimize reliance on the chemical fertilizer, but also ensure that we improve the soils on the other side.
What His Excellency the Governor has come up, this has developed a very nice model where we have a congregation center And that congregation center where the kids from a class, it's like a close, where their class is this way and this way, and the center is open. I presume and I know they can provide some warmth, you know, some sort of source of warmth, like G-codes and all those things. But also, it is our responsibilities, and I know parents, especially from my village, they have to clothe, and they have been clothing their kids with warm clothes and all those things. In the past, when I was young, we never went to school with shoes and all those things. But currently, I am happy to see that parents are clothing, they are having their kids with shoes and all that, and all those things. And more importantly, I've also seen in nursery schools and ECD, even boys used to have shorts, but now they're having trousers. So those are responsibility of the parents to provide more warm clothes and clothes that can be able to prevent extreme weather.
Kiambu is one of the counties of the World Bank's financing locally led climate adaptation program, and this engagement with the representatives, the county says, is intended to come up with an adaptation plan for the county, which will be pegged on the county's Climate Change Act of 2021. Solutions to climate change don't have to be complicated. They can be as simple as composting your kitchen waste like you've seen here, and then using that compost on your kitchen garden. As we've seen from the farmers in Kiambu County, surviving climate change is putting indigenous knowledge right at the center of it, and the county government says it is leveraging on this indigenous knowledge in order to build policies that puts the people first, and thereby building the adaptive capacity of the county. Otherwise wraps it up in county number 22. My name is Zena Bondati. See you again next week.